All right, let's just dive right in. Technology has made our lives easier, more comfortable, more connected. That's a given, right? But underneath all that convenience, a much deeper question is bubbling up. Has all this incredible progress actually made us happier? That's what we're going to unpack here. Technology's complicated, often contradictory relationship with our own well-being. And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? Are we simply more comfortable now, wrapped in a blanket of convenience? Or has all this progress genuinely improved our lives? Is technology actually doing what it's supposed to do, bettering the human condition? Or have we somehow started to miss the point entirely? So, here's how we're gonna break this down. First, we'll look at the ultimate human quest for happiness itself. Then, we'll question its slippery nature in a butterfly called happiness. From there, we'll explore technology's promise of paradise and the shocking emptiness of everything that can come with it. Then we'll bring it home to the digital dilemma in our own lives, and finally ask that huge question, master or servant? Okay, first up, the ultimate quest. Before we can even start to talk about tech's impact, we've got to agree on the one thing that drives pretty much everything we do, from our biggest dreams to our deepest struggles. I mean, really think about it for a second. Why do you get out of bed? Why do you push through a tough day at work? All of it, from your grand ambitions to your nagging worries, it all traces back to one single driver. It's the very core of being human. This powerful, universal need to just be happy. And look, this isn't some new age self-help idea. This goes way back. The ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle pointed out that happiness is completely unique. He called it the chief good. It's the one thing we want just for what it is. Everything else we chase, money, success, a good reputation, we want those things because we think they'll get us happiness. But happiness? That's the final destination. That's the end of the line. And that's why you can play the why game with everything else. Why do you want a promotion? For more money. Well, why do you want more money? For security. You can keep going. But if you ask someone, why do you want to be happy? The chain just breaks. The question itself sounds weird, doesn't it? Because there's no deeper reason. It is the reason. So if happiness is the ultimate goal, why is it so famously hard to pin down? It feels so slippery. And this gets us to our next part, exploring what happiness even is. Are we thinking about it all wrong? Is it some destination we arrive at? Or could it be, the journey itself? This idea, often linked to the Buddha, just completely flips our modern thinking on its head. That whole belief that you have to grind and suffer and sacrifice so that one day you can finally earn happiness. This suggests that whole premise is just wrong. What if happiness isn't waiting for you at the finish line? What if happiness is the finish line and the road and the act of walking it all at once? Just think about it in your own life. That big goal you worked so hard for. Getting it is a rush, no question. A huge, amazing high. But what about all the stuff that led up to it? The late nights, the planning, the things you learned, the person you had to become to get there. Is it possible that the real, lasting good stuff was actually in the striving, not just the arriving? I love this metaphor from Henry David Thoreau. He said happiness is like a butterfly. The more you frantically chase it and try to grab it, the more it just flutters away. But if you just turn your attention to other things that matter, building something, learning a skill, helping somebody, it has this funny way of just showing up when you're not looking. It just comes and lands on your shoulder, not as a trophy, but as a byproduct. So it really seems like the deep, lasting kind of happiness isn't about checking off a list of accomplishments. It's built on something sturdier. It's built on finding meaning in the process, on the value of effort itself, on the connections we build when we go through tough times together, and on the lessons we learn from the very things that stand in our way. Okay, this is where technology enters the picture in a big way. Because if real happiness is found in the journey with all its struggles, what happens when this powerful new force shows up and promises to get rid of the struggle altogether? Technology comes along with this grand utopian blueprint for a world with no pain, just comfort and ease. And to really test this promise, let's look at a thought experiment from a master, the science fiction legend Isaac Asimov. He imagined these two worlds, Solaria and Aurora, basically to test one simple idea. If you use technology to create a perfect world, do you get perfectly happy people. So here's the blueprint for this utopia. First, you keep the population low and manageable. Then, you get robots to do all the work. All of it. After that, you get rid of scarcity. Everybody has everything they could possibly want. Then, you use amazing medicine to make people live for over 300 years. And the whole point of this? To free up humanity to finally focus on the higher things, like art and science and philosophy. So just try to picture living there. You've got this enormous private estate. Anything you want, food, cleaning, anything, a robot brings it to you instantly. There's no money because you don't need it. Status just comes from being a great artist or scientist. You have literally centuries of time to do whatever you're passionate about, in a world with no disease and no danger. I mean, it sounds like paradise, right? A world engineered from the ground up to have zero problems. What could possibly go wrong? Well, this is where Asimov's little experiment gets really fascinating. Once you start to look under the hood of this perfect, shiny world. And that takes us right here, to the emptiness of everything. This is where we're gonna pull that utopia apart and look at the hidden cost, the psychological price you pay for a world with no struggle. This is the great paradox of perfection. And here it is, the big, shocking twist from Asimov's experiment. The people living in these perfect worlds, they aren't any happier than we are in our messy, chaotic, unpredictable world. Actually, in a lot of ways, they are much, much worse off. So what happened? It was a trade-off. They got the promise, total comfort, endless stuff, perfect safety, and super long lives. But the price they paid was insane. Since nobody needed to work together to survive, they all became extreme individuals. Human connection just withered away. And with no challenges to overcome, life lost its purpose. It was long, yeah, but it was also hollow, just empty. And this gets us right to the absolute core of this whole paradox. It's the one idea we keep coming back to. The very tools we create to make our lives easier might be the exact same tools that are stripping life of its meaning. Once you take away the struggle, the friction, the need to try, you risk taking away the purpose right along with it. Okay, enough with the sci-fi. Let's bring this whole grand philosophical idea down to earth. Down to the thing that's probably in your pocket or on your desk right now. How does this paradox, this trade-off between ease and meaning, show up in our everyday digital lives? I mean, just think about the life of a social media like. You have a moment, you package it up, filter it, crop it, and you post it. Then you get that little ping, that notification. It's a tiny flicker of validation from the outside world. You feel a little buzz, a quick hit of pleasure, and then it's gone. And what's left is this low-grade hum of needing the next one. And that endless cycle, it has a real cost. The research coming out now is frankly alarming. Studies from the UK and the US are linking heavy social media use to some really serious mental health problems, especially for young people. This constant comparison of your messy, real life to everyone else's curated highlight reel, it just fuels anxiety, a feeling of worthlessness, even despair. That quick buzz of validation comes with a pretty steep hidden fee. You know, there is a perfect tragic image for this. Go to the Louvre in Paris. You'll see a crowd in front of the Mona Lisa, one of the greatest paintings in history. But they're not looking at it. Their backs are to the art. They're all jostling to get the perfect selfie. It's a powerful symbol for our times. It makes you wonder, are we actually experiencing our lives anymore? Or are we just performing them for an audience we can't see? This is the trap. This is the trap of external validation. It's when we stop living life and we start producing it. We start doing things so that we can post about them. We measure a beautiful sunset not by the feeling of awe it gave us, but by how many likes the picture got. We're effectively outsourcing our happiness to other people's opinions, and we're treating deep, lasting fulfillment for these quick, shallow hits of pleasure. And this all leads us to the last, and maybe the most important part, master or servant. Because here's the thing, our relationship with technology isn't set in stone. It's not some force of nature we're powerless to stop. It is a choice, a fundamental choice that every single one of us has to make every single day.
Let's just boil it down to its essence. When technology is a tool, it is incredible. It helps us build things, connect with people, learn, create. It enhances our lives. But when the technology itself becomes the goal, the endless scrolling, the hunt for likes, the need for constant stimulation, it might keep us occupied, but it leaves behind this deep, hollow feeling, a void.
So you have to ask this really chilling question. Is this technological paradise we were promised actually just a very comfortable, modern kind of hell? A state of constantly wanting the next thing, the next notification, the next distraction, the next upgrade, but never ever feeling truly satisfied?
So it feels like we're standing at a crossroads. One path offers these incredible gifts from technology: time, comfort, connection, prosperity. But the other path? On that path, the very same technology, with its constant demand for our attention, just slowly eats away at our focus, our real-world relationships, and our very sense of purpose. And so, in the end, the question comes back to you. In that quiet battle that's happening inside your own head every day, which side is going to win? Are you going to wield technology as your wisest, most powerful servant to build a life that has real meaning? Or will you let it become your most demanding master? The choice really is yours.